Lord of the Rings. Originally divided into 6 books and later brought to the big screen, this story has become a cornerstone of cinema history and storytelling. Peter Jackson not only revolutionized CGI and practical effects, but he also told a compelling and gritty story that was a faithful adaptation of the source material. If we were to ask someone to compare the original trilogy to the Rings of Power, they would very likely say that the original trilogy is superior, as long as they weren't born after 2005. However, this isn't the case when it comes to online reviews. Take this one for example. Quote, "This series is a masterpiece that even exceeds the trilogy and maybe, dare I to say, even exceeds the books." I may have let somebody get away with saying the first part if you were born after 2005, but to say the Rings of Power was better than one of the most popular and renowned book series in history? And then there's this one. Quote, "The stakes of the series rose faster than could contemplate, and spears were shaken, shields were splintered, a sword day, a red day, when he is great." This sounds more like someone was trying to write their own fantasy epic only to get confused towards the end and then start preaching about Jesus. The worst part is that there are literally millions of reviews like this across the big review sites. How many times have you decided to take to the internet to help decide whether or not to go to the movies? If you have, you've probably come across reviews that are poorly worded, have nothing to do with the actual movie, or seem like a circulated copy and paste. It turns out that's probably a bot or an individual being paid to leave that review. For example, in 2018, a rather unknown movie titled Ophelia was played in theaters. Ophelia was a retelling of Hamlet and starred Daisy Ridley. However, the movie suffered from negative reviews on Rotten Tomatoes from early screening critics. Since Bunker 15 could not sway opinions of well-known and established critics, they opted to seek more input from different critics. That quote refers to discovered emails from a company employee which outlined their concern over the harsh views the movie was receiving, and suggested that it would, quote, "benefit from more input from different critics." Amazingly, Ophelia went from a 46% rotten to a 60% fresh rating, practically overnight. It was later discovered that Bunker 15 paid these critics at least $50 per review. But the fault doesn't only lie with those abusing these review websites. IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, and all the others in between are fundamentally flawed. You see, their scoring systems are simply terrible. For Rotten Tomatoes specifically, there is no complex formula that determines the complexity of a review, or the enthusiasm behind it. All reviews are simply categorized by positive or negative, and then by dividing the number of positives by the total. This means that a movie can score 100% by simply garnering passing grades. For example, if there are 10 critics and each critic grades a movie 6 out of 10, then the movie will be certified 100% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Remember, 6 out of 10 is 60%, and 60% is fresh. IMDb, on the other hand, has an entirely different problem: bots. Take The Darkest Minds movie, for example. By all accounts, this movie was not good. I actually can't name anyone I personally know that is aware of its existence, but after its release, interesting reviews began appearing. One by one, 10 out of 10 star reviews were popping up, containing very generic text and seemingly followed the same naming convention across all different accounts posting these. One of these reviews even claimed that the movie received a standing ovation from the entire theater. Remember, this is a movie that grossed $40 million worldwide and was considered a huge flop. At first glance, these reviews probably look legitimate, and the unwitting observer will likely take it at face value. I mean, the review about the standing ovation was supposedly helpful to 28 out of 64 users, so it's safe to say that about 30 people looked at that review and made the determination to watch the movie at some point. If you'd like more proof as to why IMDb is not regarded as a trusted source, I suggest going over to trustpilot.com and navigating to their IMDb review page. Once there, filter by keyword fake. But if you can't trust those big review websites, then who can you trust? Well, back in the day, we had these beautiful creations we referred to as message boards. While toxicity was commonplace and trolls were ever present, these websites allowed individuals to have complex and deep conversations regarding the quality, message, and tone of the movies they were seeing. Now, there are some forum-based websites still operating out there, and they still receive a healthy number of visitors, but please do not go there just to muddy the waters. If you are a bit introverted and don't like communicating or debating, or you simply prefer a more direct review experience, you could always visit an independent reviewer's website. For example, Roger Ebert and The Independent Critic are both websites in which you can find a comprehensive analysis on many films. But beware, independent critics tend to stay away from the numeric or star rating systems, so expect to do some reading. This leads me to my last point. Consumers are also the problem. People no longer have the time or patience to sit down and read a comprehensive analysis of a movie. They would rather type in a website, see a number at the top of their screen, and make a decision right then and there of whether or not they will visit the theater. There are even people out there that would get so defensive over a movie that they can no longer objectively critique it. What I'm saying is this: think for yourself. No one is telling you to like a movie or that you shouldn't like a movie. But if you did or did not enjoy it, be willing to explain why and discuss it. Movies are a very special form of art and should be discussed in a constructive manner. Don't rely on fundamentally flawed review systems to make that determination for you. But that's all for today. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'll catch you next time.